Hello friends, today we're going to be talking about what is the best type of real estate investment. If you had to choose one type of real estate investment to do, what would it be? I know that's a broad question with a lot of legs, but the reality is there isn't a cookie cutter answer that fits all. However, by the end of this video, I want to break down this question and exactly how you can answer it. And I'll even share with you what I'm doing currently in today's market when it comes to real estate investments. As we roll into this video, I want to help you understand what types of real estate investments exist, but also help you understand how your current situation can play a role in finding out which real estate investment is right for you. I also want to explain some of the pros and cons of certain types of real estate investments and look at the different types of income that can be made when it comes to real estate investing. Finally, I want to walk you through the best type of real estate investment that can be done no matter where you're located for those that are looking just to jump into real estate, but also a type of strategy that if you're a little bit more seasoned, that might help you diversify your real estate portfolio. If you're ready, let's go. So let's talk about the different types of real estate investments that exist out there, right? The first one is residential. This is where people call home, right? Whether it's a single family home, a condo, a townhome, it's where people reside. It's the American dream to own a home. Residential, there's a lot of strategies underneath this that we'll talk about, but anything from short-term rentals, vacation rentals, long-term rents, lease options, nightly rentals, co-living. There's a ton of strategies that fall under single-family residential investments. The second is commercial. This is where commerce happens in a building. The next is industrial. This is warehouses, distribution. I know an individual that is doing very well in light industrial, where he's building units that people can rent out that have a trade, whether it's electrical, framing, plumbing. They rent out these spaces. There's a little office in there, then a bunch of space they can store their stuff and bring stuff and store trailers and equipment if needed. But it's becoming a very lucrative business for him. And I think a segment of the real estate market that's really undervalued and underperforming. And then land. It's agricultural, it's development. That's a segment that's starting to grow as well. And there's some unique strategies that are starting to happen on land as well. I've seen people that have just had some agricultural land, put some yurts on it. I've seen people that have started flipping land, dividing up into smaller segments, not development, but dividing up into smaller segments and selling it for a profit. So land's getting more and more creative as well. Now that you understand the different types of real estate that exist out there, what does your current situation tell you about what you can do or cannot do when it comes to the best type of real estate investment for you? The first thing I ask people is it going to be a full-time effort or a part-time effort? And either answer is okay, but depending on what that answer is, the expectation or the return on that time is really what you should be shooting for, not all sorts of different types of money that should be coming in if you're putting in a part-time effort. There's a gentleman that I've met that I've become good friends with as part of this mastermind group that I'm a part of, but he started slow. He started part-time. He was a young man, but he was very interested in wholesaling, about finding deals. And so he would put in time every single night to find deals with the software that he had that were maybe undervalued, maybe they were distressed, maybe they were pre-foreclosure, and he would start finding these properties and he'd start sending out mail pieces to these different residences that might be a good candidate to sell his property at a wholesale price that he could turn around and sell at a retail price if he put a little bit of money into it or if he fixed it himself. Eventually, it became so lucrative for him that he stopped every other endeavor he was doing. He is a full-time wholesale flipping machine doing an amazing job. And so it's not really where you start, but it's where you finish. And where you start could lead to something very lucrative if you put the time and energy into it and as long as you're consistent. So your current situation doesn't have to be the end-all be-all, but it's a place to start. And if you can allocate more time to it, you should see full-time results as you put more time into it. So the other question I ask people is, what are you passionate about? And what skill sets do you have? That might indicate for you where you should begin or what types of real estate investing you should engage into. Now, real estate is a big world with a lot of different layers. Just saying that you want to get started in real estate is probably too broad, so you probably need to narrow it down. And it really should be something you get excited about. So how does that apply to real estate? Well, if you're the type of person that likes DIY projects, you like to fix things, and you've been involved in construction before, any form of construction, or you're good with your hands, that might be an indication of where you should start when it comes to real estate investing. Maybe fixing and flipping, finding properties that are distressed and being able to go in and enhance those properties or fix a few things can make a world of difference. I know people that have bought pieces of property that just didn't look very good. They went in and painted the outside of the home, or they put on shutters, or they painted the door, or put on a new garage, and all of a sudden, that property looks so much better. You've probably seen the individual that goes around to different places that have horrible looking yards, and he says, hey, I just want to clean your yard up for free. And some of these yards are absolutely disgusting. I love watching those videos because when he goes around and he cleans up the sidewalks, the yard, the bushes, that property looks completely different just by putting a full day into landscaping and fixing what the yard looks like. Just that alone can enhance the value of a property. Now, if you don't like fixing things with your hands, maybe there's other options. Maybe it's Airbnb arbitrage, maybe it's lease options, or maybe you're the type of person that just wants to find leads for people that are investing in properties. You're really good with technology and you're really good at putting systems in place where you find properties through a software or through your own research, and you're able to send out mail pieces or calls or use AI to get people to raise their hand and say, listen, I'm interested in selling my property. I'm in a tough situation. I met an individual just recently that he's put together a call center out of another country, and he has found out how to gather data and give it to this call center, and they call and do the initial calling, and they pass over these leads to people that are actually doing the real estate investing, right? So he finds people that can raise their hand and say, listen, I'm interested in talking to somebody about buying my property. He passes that leads over to real estate investors. They call those leads and they try to get them to sell their property to them. They negotiate, and some of them work out, some of them don't work out. But regardless, he has found his niche in the real estate market, and it has nothing to do with actually buying the property and turning around fixing it and selling it. Now, through his efforts there and the money he's made, he has bought some rental properties. But once again, it goes to your passion and what you're good at. He was really good with technology. He understood systems. He had a background in telemarketing, and he put together teams offshore that produce a really profitable service for lots of real estate investors here in the United States. And one last little story. There's a stay-at-home mom that I met, and she was very successful with short-term rentals, Airbnb, vacation rentals. She was a stay-at-home mom. She would do interior decorating from her home. And pretty soon she started having people that would reach out to her and say, listen, I'm turning this into an Airbnb. I would like it to look like a coastal theme, a beach theme. She got really good at interior decorating these properties. That became her main gig. And so she would go to different areas, whether it was a mountain property, a beach property, a city property, whatever it was, she could decorate it to where she's become one of the most renowned interior decorators for short-term rentals out there currently on social media. She's very, very popular in that regard, but she started out just as a stay-at-home mom that would do jobs for interior decorating every now and again. And the other question is, what type of returns do you want? And these are two different categories. Do you want a lump sum, or do you want passive income coming in? Now, for a lump sum, you might have to put a little bit of money down. You might have to put money into rehab. You buy something at this price, you fix it up with a little bit of money, and you sell it at this price, and in comes to you a chunk of change. You're then able to take that chunk of change and rinse and repeat and do that over and over. So if a large lump sum is something you want, whether you find an investor if you don't have any money, or you find a partner that puts the cash up and you do a lot of the work, that's another way I've seen people work really well with fix and flips, or a large chunk of change that they want to come in from real estate. But that's one strategy and one question you need to be able to answer. Do you want a large chunk of change coming in as your income, or do you want passive income? Now, if you want passive income, obviously you're going to need some money to put down on some properties that you purchase. But there's a slew of different strategies out there, whether it's subject to, whether it's Airbnb arbitrage or lease options, that you can actually control the property and make some money with the mortgages and what you're renting it for, and still be able to pay a seller financing option there. So if passive income is what you're looking to do and you don't have money, there are strategies out there to be able to engage in those, to be able to make passive income every single month. And if you start small, it eventually can grow, because once you have a system in place, whether it's Airbnb arbitrage or whether it's subject to real estate investing, and there's a lot of groups out there on social media that are finding properties and doing this exact thing. Once you learn the system, you can rinse and repeat, do it over and over again. Pretty soon, you're making quite a bit of money. I know an individual who all he did is built his wealth and his passive income through Airbnb arbitrage. And what is that really quick? It's finding a long-term rental in a place that allows for short-term rentals. You get that property under lease for a year. You're paying that monthly fee. Say it's $2,000. You're able to rent it out 15, 20 nights a month at $200 a night, and you're making $3,000 or $4,000 a month, even though you're only paying $2,000. Now, obviously, there's a little bit of expense that goes with that, but you do that on 10 properties, and your net's $500 per property. Pretty soon, you're making $5,000 with this strategy, right? And it's passive income coming in every single month. So just to finish it off, what are the types of investments that you should invest in right now in today's economy? I tell people, if you're just getting started in real estate, one of the segments I think is almost foolproof, which is a great segment to be involved with, is the residential real estate market, because there are so many different strategies involved in that segment. There's so many things you can do, from short-term rentals to lease options to long-term rentals to co-living, which is a really interesting space right now. I heard a presentation from an individual who is targeting 4 to 5 bedroom homes with 4 to 5 bathrooms. And rather than renting it out as one long-term rental to a family, he is renting out each room, right, to an individual, and they each have their bathroom. And he's getting, say, maybe $800 or $900 a room, versus maybe it's a big home, maybe it's 3,500 square feet and it's 5 bedrooms, and he might get $3,500 a month. If he's renting out 5 rooms at, say, $1,000 a night, that's $5,000 that he's getting on a home that normally might be $3,000 or $3,500 for a family to rent out. And so it's just unique. And people say, well, are there rules against that? And he's found out ways to do this. And I don't quote me on this. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but he puts them all in an LLC, and the single LLC rents the home from him as a landlord versus each individual person. And so there's definitely strategic, creative ways that it can happen. But anyway, that's once again a strategy in the residential real estate market that can be utilized, that's thinking outside the box, that can get really good returns on properties that people thought otherwise. You can only do this with it. Now, if you're a more seasoned real estate investor and you said, okay, I want to diversify, or I'd like to look at something else, one segment that I think is really unique right now is the storage unit space. And here's why. If you look at multifamily or apartment buildings maybe 15 years ago, a lot of those were owned by mom and pops, right? They were family owned, people that owned these units for a long time and passed down to maybe another generation. And then all of a sudden, institutional buyers came into the market and started gobbling up and buying all these multifamily units, all these apartment building complexes. And you're seeing that start to happen with the storage unit. So a lot of the storage units right now, because institutional money is coming in to purchase these, but a lot of storage units are owned by mom and pops. Just on the outskirts of large cities, there's an opportunity right now to purchase some of these units from these mom and pops, put in some work, get rents up, fix up the properties a little bit, or raise rents, get your marketing in place, and really make a killing in the storage unit segment right now. So those are the two areas I think are pretty powerful in today's economy. And I'd be interested in what you're seeing, what markets, what segments that people should invest into, especially if they're getting started or if they're a little bit more seasoned. And this is my take on it. I appreciate you stopping by. And just for doing so, I've got a free gift for you. It's a short-term vacation rental calculator where you put the income in, you put the expenses, and it spits out to you whether it's a good deal or not. It gives you the cash and cash return. It lets you know where your money's going and what you can expect before you purchase a property. And you can get it just by clicking on this link below, aaronsfreetraining.com. And once again, thanks for stopping by. Have an amazing day.